Hi, I'm Caleb Howitt and I work at PSP Gagetown, and today we'll be doing a flexibility mobility workout. Today I'm not going to be playing any music for you, but if you have your own tunes, feel free to play those. Okay. I'm just going to read off this little disclaimer and then we will get started. Today, actually, before we do that, today we're focusing on lower body mobility and flexibility. Okay, that's the goal. So I'm going to read this disclaimer and then we'll start. In response to COVID-19, PSP is offering telefitness to Canadian Armed Forces members. By using social media platforms, the telefitness classes tailored to the Canadian Armed personnel become accessible to all. Prior to participation in this session, and to make an informed decision on whether you should seek advice from a qualified exercise profession or healthcare provider, consult the Get Active questionnaire of the Canadian Society of Exercise Physiology and its reference documents, simply by clicking the links below. So there's going to be 2 links posted below this video. You're just going to look at those, make sure that all those questions are good for you, and if nothing shows any red flags, then you're good to continue the workout. And then by continuing with this telefitness class, you understand that there's a possibility of physical injury, and you agree to do so voluntarily and at your own risk. You also assume all risk of injury and to agree to release the Canadian Forces Morale and Welfare Services from any and all claims related to this telefitness class. Okay, so we're gonna get started. So you need a foam roller and a lacrosse ball. If you don't have a foam roller, you can always use a water bottle. Okay, and if you don't have a lacrosse ball, you can always use a tennis ball or a golf ball. The lacrosse ball is bigger, so that's gonna hit a bit more, but you can still do some good with the tennis ball or the golf ball. Okay, so we're gonna get started. We're gonna do a little flow and get a little warm, and then we're gonna get right into it. Awesome. So we have a foam roller and a lacrosse ball. We're gonna move those to the side to start with. So we're just gonna start in a seated position, whatever's comfortable for you. I'm just going to start off by breathing, just relaxing, taking a bit of time to just lower the heart rate, just get nice and relaxed. Now we're going to take a nice deep breath in, chin into the chest, take a nice deep breath. And when we let it out, we're going to move our head upward. And we're going to do the same at the top. Nice deep breath in, let it out, moving the head down. Back to center. We're going to start at one side, take a nice deep breath in. When we breathe out, we're moving across. Awesome. Come back to center. Wonderful. Okay, now we're going to raise the hands overhead in our seated position. Take a nice deep breath in, reach up towards the sky, bring one hand down to our sides, and then we're going to lean to the side. Breathing, keeping the chest nice and tall. Eyes fixed on the ceiling. Drop the hand to the other side, bring the hand over, and lean. Reach up with that hand. Bring both hands back up. We're taking a nice deep breath in and reaching. So taking our opposite hand, crossing it, and bringing the other hand and reaching it behind the body. And we're going to do a light twist of the spine, nothing heavy, just a light twist. So one hand in behind, one hand on the leg, and we're just working into that twist. Back to center, reaching the hands overhead, nice deep breath in. Crossing, bring your hand in behind the back, light twist of the spine, nothing intense, just light. Awesome, coming back to center. Wonderful. So, next, we're going to do something called an inverted table. So we're going to have our hands behind our backs, feet, hips, shoulder width apart. And what we're going to do is we're going to push through our hips and try to raise them up so our body is level. Our hips are level with our shoulders, and then coming back down. And this is a little. If the shoulder is just something you can't touch, that is just another modification you can use. It's just great for opening up the shoulders, opening up the hips. Yeah, just called an inverted table. Okay, this last one we're going to hold at the top for 5 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. We're going to extend the legs out. We're going to lay back. We're just going to do a little bit of a core abdominal exercise. So we're going to hold the hands and the legs up. We're going to drop opposite hand, opposite leg down to the floor. Just hover. We're going to hold here for 5-second count. Staying nice and tight through our belly, not letting our rib cage come up. Coming back to the top. Then we're going to extend out the other leg, holding for 5 seconds. 3, 4, 5. Coming back up to the top. Extending out, holding right above the floor. 3, 4, and 5. Coming back up to the top. Extending out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Other side again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Extending out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Awesome. We're going to extend both arms and legs out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Coming back up. Wonderful. Bring the legs down. And hands back. Awesome. What we're doing next, we're going to roll over. We're going to get into a table, regular table this time. We're going to shift our hips forward, squeezing our bum at the bottom, protecting our lower back. And then we're going to sit back into a child's pose. I'm not going to stay here for very long. Coming forward into our cobra, squeezing the bum at the bottom, protecting the lower back. And then sitting back into our child's pose. We can widen out the knees if we find our head can't reach the floor. And then back, squeezing the glutes, chest nice and tall. Hips back, hips back, hips back. I'm coming forward, squeezing the bum, chest tall. Forward, Squeezing bum. Shifting back. Walking it up. Wonderful. Okay, so from here, we're going to just come back into our tabletop. We're going to do a bird dog hold. So we're just like the dead bug, we're going to lift the opposite arm, opposite leg. And we're just going to hover here at the bottom of this position. And we're lifting up, but we don't want to arch to the back. We want everything to stay tight. So we hold here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and coming back down, hovering. Gonna hold for 5, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then extending out. And 5. Coming back down. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Extending out. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Coming back down, holding. So that 5 second count. 2, 3, 4, 5. Extending out. And 5. Hovering. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay. Come back down to the mat. We're going to lift the other hand and knee. Just holding this for a 5 second count. 2, 3, 4, and 5. Extending out. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Coming back down. Hovering over the mat. 2, 3, 4, and 5. Extending out. And 5. Coming back down. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Bring the arm and leg out. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Coming back down. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Last one, hover. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. That hand meet the mat, knee meet the mat. So from here, we're going to find our toes in the back. Get in our table position, hands underneath shoulders, knees underneath hips. And we're going to brace through our belly, so pulling our belly button in towards our spine, but not letting it round up. So we want tension on all 4 sides of our column or our core. What we're doing is bracing, and we're just going to lightly lift our knees off the floor. And that's all we're doing. Just knees are off the floor, my knees can move. And we're breathing. I'm going to do this for 10 seconds. And lower down. Take a second, and we're going to lift again. 3, 2, 1. Lifting the knees off the floor, same brace the belly. And 10, lower slowly back down the mat. And then we'll lift up again. 1. And 10, lowering down. We're lifting in 3, 2, 1. Lift up, knees lightly off the floor. 2. And down. Last one, okay, everyone? So bracing through the belly, lifting the knees just less than an inch off the floor. 2, 4, 5, 6, 8, 9, and 10. Wonderful. Good job, everyone. Okay, so now we're going to go through just a mini flow. So we're going to get up into our downward dog. We're just going to bend through the knee, extend the other leg. Walk the dog here. forward into a high plank. Hold that top position. We're going to breathe. We're going to stay braced. Then we're going to slowly lower down. Extend the feet. We're just going to lift the body up into a cobra. Just hips on the floor, butt squeeze, so we're protecting our lower back. Nice deep breath in, lowering down. Then I'm going to press back into a downward dog. Now from here, we're just going to walk the feet to the hands. Shift the weight to the feet. We're just going to do a forward fold. I'm going to bring the body up, hands overhead. Awesome. And you probably can't see my head. Yep, that makes sense. Got me off. We're going to lower back down. You step back into your downward dog. Oh, funny. Okay, we're going to lift one leg into the sky. Just going to hang out here. Just going to lower that foot down. We're going to lift that leg. Lowering that foot down. Lifting the leg. Lowering that foot down. Lifting the leg. Bring the body over the hands into a high plank. We're going to slowly lower down, flipping the feet, flattening them out, and lifting the body up. Squeezing the bum. Sitting back, finding our toes, to a downward dog. And we're just going to slowly walk the feet towards the hands and shifting our weight. Just relax the head here. We're just going to come back down into a seated position. Awesome. Okay, hope you guys are feeling warm. Yeah, if you're in Fredericton, you're already warm. Awesome. So first, we're going to do something called a quad roll, or we're just going to roll out the front of our leg. We're just going to get that all mobile. So we're going to start off with this piece or your foam roller, one of the two. This will work with both. So I'll show you with one, then show you with the other, and we're just going to get started working. So what we're going to do is place the foam roller just at the top of the hip. You can feel like the hip bone to the side. You can feel your pelvis, the front of your hip bone right here. You want that just below. And that meaty tissue, we're going to lay down right on top of that right here. And what we're going to do is roll from one side of that point to the other. So what we're trying to do is create better sliding surface function. So sometimes those muscles can get all tacked down and not moving together well. So what we're trying to do is create some separation so those can have more efficiency. We're getting more blood flow. If there's any trigger points, we're trying to work those out. So we're just rolling back and forth every 5 or 6 passes. Every 5 or 6 passes, we're just going to move down an inch. Same. You guys keep going if you're on your roller. Same thing with the lacrosse ball. We're just putting it in there and we're just rolling it back and forth. We're laying down on it, laying down on that tissue. And we're just rolling from one side to the other. From one side to the other. Whatever works better for you. The ball is going to be a little more pointed. The ball is going to find more of your junk. If this is excruciatingly painful for you, use the roller. And if you want to get some more pointed work in, use the ball. Okay? So we're going to stay here for about another minute. You unglue that leg. So every 5 or 6 passes, we're just moving down the leg. And wait. If you find something gross, disgusting, and awful, just sit on that piece and wait, okay? So we're going from here, well, from the top to the bottom. We don't want to roll on any bone. We're going to stop at about just like an inch from, well, maybe 2 inches from your patella, just so you're not rolling over any ligaments that you shouldn't be rolling over. Okay? Awesome. Yeah. And if you find anything gross, disgusting, and awful, just sit on it and wait. Because that's the whole point of myofascial release, is we're just trying to release our tissues. That's what we're trying to do. Just trying to release our tissues. Wonderful. So we've done another minute there. What we're going to do is, so we just mobilized that piece. So now what we're going to do is we're going to do a hip flexor stretch. So we're going to brace. We're going to think about pulling our belly button towards our spine, bracing our column, and then we're going to shift our hip forward. So this is going to stretch our hip flexor. What I don't want you to do is relax your belly and then lean forward. See how much further I can get into this stretch? But what is happening, you guys stay in the stretch, but what is happening is there's this muscle called your iliopsoas. It hooks on the inside of your leg, on your lesser trochanter, and then it goes through your pelvis and hooks onto your spine. So why that's important is if I'm trying to stretch out my iliopsoas, I want to keep a nice braced spine. If I relax, all of my pelvis is going to shift forward and my spine is actually going to try to get a little closer to my hip socket, right? But if I brace, everything stays in alignment, so I can't actually move that far. So we want to keep that brace so we're actually stretching the right thing and not just moving our joint capsule to the head of the socket. Yeah, so we're keeping that brace, we're holding this position. We got about 20 seconds left on this 60 second stretch. I almost said interval. Could be. Yeah. Awesome. We're doing great. So holding that stretch. So keeping that brace, shifting forward, stretching out that hip flexor. So now we're relaxing out of that. We're gonna roll with the other leg. So we got our ball, we got a roller. I'm gonna do the roller right now. So we're gonna put that roller into the meat, like just below that front hip bone, just below that front hip bone, into the meat of the quad, meat of the leg. And then we're just gonna roll back and forth. So we're gonna do 3 to 5 passes on one point. If we find something gross, disgusting, and awful, we're going to sit on it. If we don't find anything, we're going to move on. Okay, we're going to spend about 90 seconds here. So we're going to roll up again. We're going to roll back and forth, making sure that we're getting all those pieces. If you find you're rolling onto yourself, just adjust the roller so that the side that you're not rolling can fall off the roller and you can kind of go deeper into that mobilization. Awesome. Rolling back and forth. And we're moving up an inch. If you find a spot that's just particularly nasty, you can just stay on it. Right? Just stay right there because you're going to do more good. Spend 90 seconds on one spot than spend 90 seconds on the whole leg. So if you find something gross, just be friends with it. Yeah. Rolling back and forth, trying to unglue all that tissue. So rolling up again. Rolling back and forth. Up one more time. Oh man, so much in here. If you need to just spend some more time on here, go for it, right? Yeah, like 3 to 5 minutes is good, but we don't have time. So if you need to spend more time on any of this, just go for it. This is just putting more tools in your tool chest. Rolling back and forth, back and forth. Wonderful. So what we're going to do now is we're going to do the hip flexor stretch. On the side, we just roll down. So, this is how I just rolled. I'm lifting up my other leg. I'm bracing. So I'm activating my core, my pillar. So not just the front, but the side and the back. Activating that pillar. And then I'm just leaning forward, trying to stretch out the front of my hip, but we want to stay braced. Don't want to relax the belly. We're going to stay here for about 60 seconds, everyone. Just staying relaxed, mildly uncomfortable in the stretch. We never want to push past any discomfort, any pain. Sharp pain, get out of that instantly, right? So just mild discomfort, that's what we're looking for. Because we're not going to create any change. We're not going to create any good change if we're pushing too hard, right? We will create change, but it's not going to be the kind that is desirable or we want. So we want that good change. Good change takes time. Right, so we're just breathing and just being mildly uncomfortable. That's the whole goal right here. Nothing more, nothing less, just mildly uncomfortable. And just breathing through it. Relaxing through that hip. Wonderful. We're going to take a seat. So next, we're going to roll out our hamstring. So you're going to take the ball, you're going to put it right, so there's this part where you can feel your pubis, your pelvic bone at the bottom. I want you to put it right in front of that. So that's that's where the hamstring kind of starts and everything kind of really gets melded down. So just right in front of that pelvic bone, your sit bone. And what we want to do is we're just going to roll back and forth on that hamstring. If you find something gross, man, oh man, you can just put some pressure on it, sit on it. I found a spot right now. The most important part is just to not tense up through the face, stay relaxed, try to regulate your breathing. Yeah, awesome. And if you want something more intense, you can always elevate the thing you're sitting on. So if you're sitting on like a table or a countertop, like just so that your leg can dangle, that would be far superior. Just can't demo that right now. But if you have something like that, it's going to work way better than just sitting on here. Or if you have a barbell and a rack, ooh, that's a great way to unglue your hamstring and also your adductor. But we'll get into that later. Yeah. So there's a lot of different options. This is a good one too. Yeah, awesome. This one takes the least equipment. Just rolling out that hamstring. I like to stay close to the top because that's how I find I get the most tight. But you can go exploring, like move down the leg if you want. But I find just close to the top is where I get the most, where everything gets the most matted down or tight or just wrong. Awesome. Rolling back and forth. Awesome. We're going to stay here for another 30. trying to do is create a little change. Staying on there, we're going to take the ball out from under our bum. Just going to leave it somewhere where it won't roll away. You stay there. Okay, we're going to lay back. We're going to bring one leg with us. We're going to bring that knee up as far as it'll go, and then we're going to extend our leg. And then I'm going to just position my hands up a little further so I don't have to stay active in my leg. We're going to hold this position. It's going to stretch our hamstrings. You want a slight bend in the knee. And we want to be relaxed in the upper body and feel a mild stretch. So mildly uncomfortable in that hamstring muscle. If you have a doorway, you can just prop your leg in the doorway and do this. That's always fun too. There's always so many different ways to do this stuff. If you have a band, you can loop the band around your foot. And another important piece is keeping the leg that's on the floor completely flat. Like, yeah, there's going to be a lift between your knee pit and the ground, but you want to keep your leg flat. You want to be up like this because that's going to make the stretch less effective. It's going to make the stretch less effective. I'm going to bring that leg down. Okay, now we're going to roll it the other side. So putting that ball straight below the line of that pelvic bone. And we're just going to roll back and forth, trying to find just something that doesn't feel right. Just going to hit that piece. Just going to sit on something that doesn't feel great. But not shocky or not like sharp pain. We want just the dull pain. And keeping our face relaxed, staying in control of the situation. And breathing. That's a huge point to mobilizing, because if we're not breathing, if our breathing pattern isn't consistent, then our body isn't going to be relaxed. If we have a nice slow tempo to our breathing, then a nice relaxed body. But if we're here just then we've moved into something else entirely, and the mobilization will not be as effective. So we just want to be relaxed here. We don't want to be cringing. We want to be in a nice relaxed state to make change. Yeah, so if this isn't enough, you can always elevate your legs. So like on a wide stool or a table or a countertop, something where your legs can hang, and that's going to make it a much more effective mobilization. But right now, this is what we got. Awesome. And we're breathing. Back and forth. Stay here for another 30. Awesome. You guys are doing great. Okay. Move. Stay. Ducking to another crossbow. We're going to lay down, we're going to pull our knee into our chest, and we're going to extend our leg up, move the hands slightly up, but we want to stay relaxed. Making sure our bottom leg is flat on the floor. We don't want that lifting up. If you have a band, you can wrap it around your feet, your foot, just so you can stay more relaxed. And mild discomfort in the hamstring down here. That's all we want for a stretch. We don't want anything more. We don't want any negative change to happen. We only want positive change. Okay, about 15 seconds left here. The most important part of mobilization is just keeping your breath consistent and staying relaxed. Okay, we'll bring that leg down, back to the floor. Wonderful. What are we doing next? Oh, amazing. So we're going to go into an adductor mobilization. So you're going to need a roller for this one. You can use a ball for this, but that would be extremely uncomfortable. Your adductors tend to be a more tender part of the body. Your adductors, things that add to your body, pull your leg into your body, is the muscles on the inside of your leg. So we're going to use our foam roller. We're going to position our foam roller on the inside of our leg. We're going to start up just like a couple, like 3 inches from our the center of our legs, our crotch. Okay. Runaway ball. So we're going to put that right in there, and we're just going to roll up and roll back. Oh man. And this is a spot that I find I get really tender because I don't take care of it as much as I should. Because you use it in like squatting, lunging, even just walking, because that stabilization piece, right? It's working in tandem with your glutes to keep your knee in solid alignment. So you use it when you squat, and especially when you're doing anything a single leg, like a single leg deadlift or a lunge or a pistol squat, whatever. So it just gets all tacked down. I find the further I move down, the more destructive the tissue becomes, so the more tender it becomes. So staying out of that pain phase, right? Just moving down, just looking for something that just doesn't feel right. And just trying to get rid of that dysfunction, right? So if you find something that just is tender and is off, then just sit on it for a bit. You can kind of move back and forth, little movements. Try to get that moving again. And breathe. Alright, so just rolling back and forth with the foam roller on the inside of our leg. Out. I find the closer I get to the knee, the more tender things become, the more, I'm keeping that breathing rate. Gotta listen to my own advice, right? Keep that breathing rate consistent. Keep my face relaxed. Awesome. 15 seconds here, and then we'll just move to the other side. Awesome work, everyone. Just rolling out the inside of that leg. Okay. So we're going to switch sides. Again, we're putting that foam roller on the inside of the leg. We're starting at the top. We're just rolling down, looking for something that doesn't feel great. And we're going to sit on it, right? And we're just trying to mobilize, create change in that tissue. So, foam roller down, positioning a couple inches from the center of our body. And we're just putting that leg down, and we're just Making sure that, just gonna make sure that you guys can see the inside of the leg. Yeah. So we're just gonna roll up and back, up and back. If we don't find anything that feels off, we're just gonna roll down and just, we're looking for something that just doesn't feel right. Oh, and I found it there. Yeah, so once we find something that just doesn't feel great, again, we're just gonna sit on it. We can move back and forth, little movements back and forth to try to create change. We can just sit right on it. We can use the ball, but for the inside of the leg, it gets real tender. So I recommend using a foam roller, especially if this is one of your first times mobilizing with a foam roller or a lacrosse ball. So we're rolling back and forth, back and forth. And once we find that piece, we're just going to sit on it. We want to stay relaxed. We don't want to breathe quickly. We don't want our face to tense up. We just want to stay relaxed, because that's the only way we're going to create change, if we're under control and we're relaxed, right? If we're under control and we're relaxed. Yeah, so rolling back and forth. This leg feels a little better on me. But as soon as I get down close to the bottom of the leg, it gets really tender. So tread lightly. If you find a spot that's too tender, move off it. Find a spot that's less tender and work on that, because the system will loosen up even if you don't hit the most needed item or the most tender item. If you move off, hit something that you can manage, and then you come back to the other one, and usually it's better. Just by creating change in that chain, change in that system. So I'm going to stay here for another 15. Just breathe. Awesome. Okay. From there, we then stretch in between, because we're just going to hit both adductors at the same time. We're going to do something called a frog stretch. So we're going to widen the legs out. We're going to keep our ankles in line. We're going to turn our feet out. We're going to turn our feet outward. Keep our feet in line with our knees. And we're just going to sit down. If we want to apply more tension, we can always sit back, widen up the knees. Or we're just going to stay in this position. It's called frog stretch. And we're just working on stretching our adductors. Okay. Just gonna breathe through this. Think about keeping our back flat and not rounded. Really nice and flat. Knees in line with the feet turned out. So trying to flatten our heels and the inside of our foot against the floor. Don't force it though. It's mildly uncomfortable with this one. And breathe. That's the secret to this. Because if our breathing is relaxed, then we're relaxed, right? If our face is loose and calm, then we're loose and calm, right? Breathing. We're going to hold this for another 20. Pull the toes closer to inward. And grab our hands, with one knee in and the other. Okay, I'm just going to check the time. Make sure that we're running on time. Oh, wonderful. Wow. Man, that goes quick. 45 minutes goes super fast. I'm just going to do one more thing, and then we'll call it a day. So we're going to find our roller. Yeah, that won't take too long. It's going to take a minute on each leg. So we're going to start basically in the center of our leg. We're going to think about where our calf muscle starts here. So we want to just be at the very bottom of the bulgy part of our muscle. So very bottom of that, all the tissue, there's a lot of different tissues that intersect. So we're just going to start rolling from side to side on that. And this gets really tender in here. You can add your other leg for more tension. And if you have a buddy, you can get your buddy to roll that out for you. But it's very painful, so make sure that they know how it feels. So just rolling back and forth, back and forth. We're breathing. Oh, yeah. And if you find something, like you're going to find something basically instantly. And we're just going to roll this out for a minute. Just move to the other side, and then we're going to do a little foot stretch and Achilles stretch just to end off. Just rolling out that leg. Back and forth. Okay. From there, just going to switch sides. Rolling back and forth till we find something gross, and we're just sit on it, try to kind of trap that tissue, put a little weight on that. If that's too much, you can always take that leg off and roll back and forth. That's still gonna feel it, but we're just right before that the meat of the muscle, just right. There's a lot of tissue that intersect just right below that muscle. We're just gonna try to unglue that. Feel something rolling in under your leg, which is normal. It's a muscle called your soleus. That's normal. It's just attached to your leg, attached to your foot. Helps you do, just different foot movements. This one, point your toes. Oh, that's tender. That's good though. Just gonna spend another 15 on this leg. And another day we can go through this more in depth. Go up down the whole leg. We just don't have time today. Yeah, so we're just gonna roll up just the centerpiece. Okay. So next we're gonna do an Achilles stretch. This is the last thing we're gonna do today. So we sit up. We're gonna bring move so you can see me. So we're gonna get in this position, one leg down, one leg up. We're gonna bring this foot in, and what we're gonna do is we're just gonna lean forward over our foot. So what we want to see happen is this heel stay on the floor. We're trying to stretch our Achilles here, bend position. We're just leaning forward. So we're gonna feel it right along the back of the leg. Don't force this one. And this is one that actually takes the longest time to get the mobility for it, because when we're leaning forward here, one of our bones has to track forward and two bones have to just come apart. And so if that's really tight and that hasn't been used in a while, then our dorsiflexion, so our foot coming closer to our shin. Starting all over the place. So those two bones have to come apart. So it takes a bit longer, because then we have to kind of just get those moving again, because it involves more than just soft tissue. So we're leaning forward. You can put your leg on top. Just working on that dorsiflexion. Foot coming closer to the shin. Trying to keep a good arch in our foot. That's important, not letting our foot flatten out. So we're just going to relax out of that. Roll to the other side. And just leaning forward over the foot, keeping our foot flat on the floor. We should feel this in behind the leg. Yeah. Just working on that dorsiflexion. So this one don't be in a rush for, but this one really helps with squatting. If you have a hard time squatting, usually a lot of your mobility problems are in the ankle. And a lot of them are in the hip too, don't get me wrong, but I find when I assess people's squats, it's their ankle mobility, especially in the military, when I'm wearing those boots all the time, if someone's in the infantry, it just restricts how much dorsiflexion you have. So this is one that I find really helps if you're trying to get a better squat. Okay, so another 15 seconds here. Okay, relaxing out of that. Okay, everyone. I'd just like to say thank you all for coming out. Hope you had a great time. Hope you learned something, and hope you feel more mobile and more informed. Okay, thank you all for coming out, and have a nice day. Oh.